So what I always say is, if tomorrow your dreams came true, you'd still be having to make content.
What's up, guys? Happy Thursday. Today on Elevated Frequencies, I'm taking you to church. And you know who's leading that church? Well, his name is Goshfather. If you go look at Goshfather's Instagram right now, you're going to see a lot of good music and a lot of good content. And in today's episode, you are getting an inside look at the brain behind that content. I was so surprised by this interview because I kind of feel like he kicked my ass a little bit. We talk a lot about the mental blocks that are keeping DJs from posting content, some different strategies and challenges that you can take on for yourself to either start making content, period, or make better content, and also some pretty much uncharted, unexplored territory that artists can get on right now to help skyrocket their career. Goshfather did this with Instagram threads, and let me just tell you, like, this was one of the tickets to his most recent success. I don't want to give it all the credit because it's him, but he is using threads as a vehicle to put his art, his music, his content in front of a lot more eyeballs, and it is doing really, really well for him. This is not just church, it's also school. So guys, pay attention because there are some actual tangible strategies that you can take from today and implement tomorrow to make your content reach even more people, the right people. Let's get started. I don't like starting off with this question, but sure. I think you may have my favorite DJ name in the game. It's so lowbrow to talk about DJ names, but I'm with it. It's so good because Godfather is one of my favorite movies. Was that the inspo, or let's just get that out of the way? Where did that come from?
let's get cracking. So the origin of my name, Goshfather. So first off, myself, I've seen parts of the Godfather. I've seen like several parts that I can remember perfectly, the iconic scenes, because it used to be on TV all the time. Back in the day when we had to sit in front of our televisions and have to wait for a film or a show to come on, we couldn't have everything on demand. So when I was a kid, I would have all these just these moments when I would see the film. So then when I was in college, the reason I got into DJing and all this stuff, because when I was living in Los Angeles, I went to UCLA. I was an opera singer. So,
okay, I was going to ask about that.
Yeah. So I started a business because my parents were like, "Okay, have fun, motherfucker, but we're not going to just support your whatever the hell you're doing over there forever. So you need a job." So I started this business where we would take kids from UCLA and USC and all the big colleges to nightclubs. And they would cut the line. We'd bring party buses, 200 kids, cut the line, give them they would pay $20 a head. So it was just this amazing service we did for these kids. And that's kind of how I got into DJing, because at one point, because I was a classically trained musician, my business partner at the time, who I ran this with, was like, "Come on, bro, DJ, it's fucking easy, dude. Do it, bro." And I was like, "Oh, I don't want to do it. Everyone's a freaking DJ." And eventually I got into it. But the point is that we were becoming so successful and living in Hollywood and doing all this stuff. And my business partner at the time, he was this good looking, athlete, 6.5 foot tall, all the girls going crazy. But he had some kind of crisis of faith. I know this is crazy. Where am I going to go with this? He had a crisis of faith through this lifestyle that he was living. So he decided to become a Hasidic Jew. This is for real. From raging his brains out in Hollywood with the models and all this stuff to growing a beard, Okay. So he was also my roommate. So he would, every time I would go, "Oh my God," he'd go, say, "Oh my gosh. Don't say God. Don't say God." So I'm 22 years old, 23 years old. And I'm like, "Oh God. Okay, fine. I mean, gosh." So I would just start saying gosh all the time. And it almost became an inside joke. Then one night I had a dream where like all the scenes that I ever saw of The Godfather, just like those like 6-7 disparate scenes of The Godfather. I was in a theater, and then those 6 scenes played as if it was the whole movie. The credits rolled, and instead of The Godfather, the logo, it said Goshfather, because I was so getting like drilled into my head, don't say God around this guy. So I woke up and I was like, damn, what the hell? And like, like the logo, the actual Godfather, the Mario Puzo book, the logo, it would say Goshfather with the little marionette strings. And I'd be like, what the, I gotta make that into a song, or I gotta make that into an album, or I gotta make that into a. So that's how I came with the name. And then it's stuck ever since. And the funny thing is, when I first started getting my first gigs in Hollywood, I was getting trashed by all the owners of the clubs. They're like, we will never allow a guy named Goshfather to play at our venue. We're not going to write those words on our marquee. And I'm like, oh man. And then joke's on them. So,
okay. At no point did I know where that story was going.
It's a whirlwind, fam. So here we are.
I'm very glad I asked.
That's why I grip onto that story, or to that story, and to the name, because it's got a lot of meaning. It's not like my name was like Vic Step, I don't know, whatever, something with my real name is Victor. But yeah, it's just that that me and that name have gone through a lot of we've been in the trenches together for a long time. So
wow, okay,
yeah,
there like so many things I want to dissect here,
sure.
but a lot of this, because just observing you over social media for some time now, a lot of this makes sense that you started on the business side of things, because
yes.
You've got your shit on lock. Like your content is amazing. It's very thoughtful.
Oh, thank you.
So let's dig into this business that you had for a while first. So you were graduated.
No. I actually never ended up getting the opera degree. I never actually ended up graduating, because I went full force into DJing and into. I mean, the way that yeah, thank you. It panned out. It panned out pretty good a couple different times. Like I tell people, I'm on my 5th music career, so it definitely, that was one of the panouts. But dude, it was great. The business was doing amazing. And the truth is, like, it's funny because what I know now about business, I mean, during COVID, obviously, I really got into business because I was like, we need to not die. I need to live and afford things. And I can't just play gigs anymore, because obviously gigs don't exist anymore. So, COVID obviously, like, I really got into like business. I really got into like a lot of the different stuff. I really got into sales and, social media marketing, all this stuff. I really enjoy it. But I was like, damn, dude, if only I had this kind of acumen or interest, or I guess the most important thing is if I had the access the way that we do now to advice and literature and content and, so many different people giving free, incredible business advice and stuff online. If I had that when I was in college, I could have probably scaled that into something gigantic. But I honestly it was like half partying and half like trying to like make rent. But it ended up becoming becoming successful. And obviously I leveraged me bringing 250 kids to the crazy college students to the nightclub. That's how I started my DJ career.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just
that's part of it. They always they want DJs to be the promoters themselves. So you're like, bet I did that first.
I did it first, and I understand what I kind of want to say is like the stuff about the content, for example. I mean, for those of you that are listening maybe for the first time or don't know about who I am, and my thing that I've kind of been doing in this new cycle of my music career, this new kind of solo Goshfather thing that I'm doing, one thing that I really make a point to do, right, is when I play a venue, for example, Joy District. I don't know, did you see the video with the marinara sauce?
I did. I'm also confused why you have a comb in your hand.
I'm pointing. This is my stylus.
Okay,
don't worry, I'm not going to start a. But yeah,
the Joy District video was
so basically, what I did was I made this crazy.
You.
The point is that when for example, there's this venue that I played in Chicago, and they were like, "Hey, post some flyers or like post a video of you just like going, hey, I'm so excited to play," and I'm like, we can do better than that. We can do better than that. We can create a video or a piece of content that somebody actually wants to give a fuck. Can I curse on this?
Absolutely.
Okay. Somebody that wants to give a fuck to watch. Okay. You know what people don't want to watch? Come tonight. I'm so excited to play. No one gives a shit. Okay. Unless I'm Tiesto, maybe, where I could just like burp and get 200,000 views on my thing. That's one thing. But for me, the bottom line is content now is my new vehicle, just like I had back in the day when I was bringing all those kids. Content is my vehicle of me when I get a booking. When somebody grabs me, like a mechanical claw from the San Francisco bubble that I'm in to take me to the other side of the country. I'm not going to go and say, I'm the shit. I'm the best DJ ever. That's why I got booked. No. Okay. I want to be a part of the operation. And this is something that I tell like a lot of other DJ homies, like, if you want to get booked again, if you want to make like some kind of impression on the people that are plucking you out of your chaste cloister, wherever the hell that you're living, to take you over here to pay you money to let you play, show them that you give a shit about that. So that is my new way, and that's kind of why I think I've been getting a lot of show. Knock on wood, I'm getting a lot of shows this summer. Like it's a blessing. I'm getting reached out to for the first time in this new iteration of my career. So the point is that like that is my version of back when I was busing kids from the colleges to clubs in Hollywood. I've always had this idea of like I want to be part of the bottom line. I don't just want to be an expense, right? And so that is like me helping create marketing content via creating interesting content. When I have a show, that's me showing the venues that I give a fuck about what the opportunity that they gave me.
Wow.
Does that kind of make sense?
That was church with the Goshfather.
the gospel.
You don't, the gospel. So that line, you want to be part of the bottom line. You don't want to be an expense.
I don't.
That is,
I am, but
it's incredible. What would you say? I mean, I swear I'm a broken record, but there's so many artists who say, I don't want to do that. I just want to do what I'm good at, which is making art or making music. I have sympathy for that because even for me, I get into creative ruts where I'm like, God, I don't know what I want to post this week. Like, I'm not feeling anything. Sure. So where does and like some of this is just your personality. It's probably these traits innate to you, but how do you figure out how to be part of the operation? Because maybe if the process is demystified a little bit, more artists will be keen to do it.
Right. Well, first off, this is something that this is something we'll probably get into in a little bit here, but Instagram Threads has been like my biggest catharsis. Because on Instagram Threads, for those of you who don't know, it's like Instagram Meta's version of Twitter. And a lot of people go, it's dead, but it's absolutely thriving. It's an incredible platform. And what I love about Instagram Threads is I get to have these kind of conversations where I literally have these kind of conversations with up-and-coming artists. Actually, artists of all, the beauty of Threads is my stuff gets shown to huge people, tiny people that just picked up a guitar yesterday. And I love being able to have that perspective. So I always talk to them about this kind of stuff on there. On Threads, it's less selling. It's less me talking about my project, my music. It's more me having these conversations that obviously I'm passionate about trying to help up-and-coming artists when it comes to social, when it comes to thinking about creativity. So I don't really do any Goshfather stuff on there. It's kind of just me talking about stuff. So, and this is something that comes up every second. Okay, the question of art versus content creator. After having this conversation, a circuitous conversation, hundreds of thousands of times, the same question with a new person, the answer is this. And this is how I kind of look at it. By the time, let's say tomorrow, an artist who is like, I'm such a good artist, I'm such a good producer, I'm such a good singer, I'm such a good this. Let's say a magic button happens for this individual and they blow up. Okay, tomorrow they blow up and now they're going to fly out to Hollywood and they're meeting with agents and they're meeting with managers and da. Okay, what's step two? Do they just kind of shelve you and you don't do any public appearances and you don't make any videos and you don't do fucking interviews? You just sit in your room and make art? Fuck no, because if you're doing that, nobody would know you existed, right? What happens is once you make it, once you're in the big leagues, once you hit your, I'm fucking... You're getting put on. You're collabing with people. Let's go to the studio and bring the camera and do an interview. Let's go do this. Let's go. Oh, let's do a pre-show. Some person is now getting paid money to come and make content with you. You don't want to call it make content because TikTok dances. You're still doing TikTok dance. I'm like fucking looking passionately using the fucking call. You're still doing TikTok dances, except now it's coming out of your budget. It's not free. It's not like some guy that comes and follows you around with a camera to do like PR. It's just like the pro bono. Pro bono doesn't stand for the P and PR doesn't stand for pro bono. So someone is taking money out of your budget to create content with you for you. So what I always say is, if tomorrow your dreams came true, you'd still be having to make content. So why not right now do it for free? Okay, that's another conversation for free.
Your time investment.
Your time, your investment, and I was like, I have to be like very clear now when I talk about your Wi-Fi, the Wi-Fi, and the mobile bill, okay, and your rent, maybe, okay, fine. So it's not free, but right, you're going to be doing it anyway. So it's like, why if you're going to be doing it anyway, but there is some 16-year-old kid out there who's making fucking mashups that's now going on tour and having a Vegas residency and shit like this. If they're doing it, why are you so special? What makes it about you that you now are immune to this thing that everybody else that is having crazy success on their own, at least so much autonomy, is able to do it? Why are you impervious to it? What makes you think that if this other person who's less talented than you, that's whole nother fucking conversation, less deserving of you for the seat, for the thing, why do they wake up with the fucking iPhone and say good morning to my fans and hey, what should I mix today? Why are you different? So I've started this conversation, and as you can see, I'm very passionate about this because it's something that is and this is something that I talk about with artists all the time. I'm like, dude, I'm not just going to say you should make content. I'm on Threads fucking all day, and I'm in DMs all day, literally doing like audits of random strangers that I've never spoken to before. I go, listen, you say you've tried everything you could on social media. You go onto their page. It's just flyers for their shows and like a video of their dog. I'm over it. You're over what? You haven't even tried. So this is my very long-winded way of saying you are the power. How much power do you want to give away? How much money do you want to give away? To me, it's like, artists are so in the world of like dying for like a random select miracle to happen in a time when I believe it's not the easiest time to blow up as an artist, but we have never in our history of the music industry or any fucking creative industry had so many tools for free at our disposal to be able to really change something in our lives and do it in a way that we don't have to give away our creative vision, our creative control, our percentages of our whatever to somebody else who may want to come in and spoil what it is that we're doing.
It's a great point.
Right.
It's a great point. It's your opportunity to control the narrative when you make the content.
Exactly. Because you're controlling the narrative when you're making the music, right? Because think about it. These same people that say, I'll never do a 10-second video. A lot of these people, a lot of that talk comes from a lot of like frustration. And it's like a lot of like younger people that are like, oh, I will never make a dubstep song. I will never do a remix. I will never do a cover. That's my favorite one. I'm a singer. I'll never do a cover. Oh, okay. So you'll never do all these things. So you don't have a career, but you have all of these things that you are so passionate about. You have these like standards. But it's like, okay, then why is it that somebody much shittier than you, in your opinion, because you're sitting there doom scrolling all day, which is another core of why the resentment and the resistance to wanting to do all these things, somebody else is doing it and getting a modicum of more success than you are for $0 or whatever, about the time allotment. Don't you think you deserve a portion of that? Don't you deserve an opportunity like that? So that to me, it's just a circuitous conversation, and I know it sounds crazy, but what I've realized after having this conversation so many different times with bigger people, because sidebar, but my side business that keeps me alive is that I actually run socials for bigger artists. I run full pages for bigger artists, yeah. And so this to me is something, yeah, and I love it. Like I actually love it, which is maybe I'm a freak for that, but I really enjoy content. But the point is that like a lot of these kids, they just. I don't know. They're just in it's in a loop. It's a loop of like, I don't want to do this. Then them not doing this kind of thing to kind of elevate them doesn't get them further. And it's a loop of resentment. So really the point is the conversation starts about what about content? It ends up with the fucking comb. It ends up, it's a deeper issue.
Absolutely.
It's an issue of insecurity, self-esteem.
The mental roadblocks and the limiting beliefs and the unwillingness to, do everything you just said and right. kind of, put the work in. That's a huge component of it. Correct. Now, let's say for the people who want to put in the work and understand, because I 1,000,000% agree with everything you just said.
Thank you.
And couldn't have said it better.
Oh.
What could you say to the people who, because even I get stuck in this rut, there will be times where I'm like, holy shit, ideas are just flowing to me. They're flowing to me. And my notes are like just random tidbits because I might be like doing Pilates and I'll be like one finger typing in, I'm like, I can't forget this, like in the middle of my plank. But then there'll be weeks.
My God, that should be studied. Oh my God.
But if I don't write it down, it's gone. It's gone. I'm with you. So I have weeks like that. But then I'll just have like dry spells, and then it makes me angry. I'm like, this is fucking bullshit. And I know how to pull myself out of it because that's what I do too. I'm a branding consultant for like the financial world. So like I do social media. And what's interesting is I never get in this rut for my clients, but I do get in this rut for myself.
Absolutely.
So what do you have to say about that?
I mean, that's a fact. That's a fact. Okay. Now that you just said that, it actually, again, my thing right now that I've been having so many conversations because of Instagram threads, because I'm having so many conversations with disparate people. I'm talking, dude, people that are on tour that have like a hit song, and people that are literally Starbucks busking. Like I see everything, and like it's made me develop a lot of empathy because I think in for a while, especially during COVID, when I was so just like you're faced with everybody's fucking posts all day long. You lose a little bit of empathy because your brain has to kind of like compartmentalize, like these people are assholes, these people are right, which is kind of why the whole world is where it's at right now. But in terms of like this kind of conversation, right? But now, like, because I've been really actually having hand-to-hand combat, one-on-one combos with like a lot of these different people, I'm having that empathy again, where I'm understanding that like if people like you and I who are like work in social and understand it have ruts for their own content or their own ideas for themselves. Fuck, you can only imagine somebody that's scared to even make a 1-second video of themselves, how much of a rut they're permanently in. So, some of the things that absolutely. I completely agree with you. Like for my clients, I don't have the opportunity to go, I don't have any ideas. Let's talk tomorrow. That's not the thing. So it's not possible. So, but I think working with other clients, maybe because like a lot of like the work that you do maybe is like the financial, it's kind of like different. But for me, working with musicians, because I am a musician, has kind of led me to create tactics which I'm forcing to now use for myself. Because for myself, for example, like here's a tactic that I do. I know, like, and that's the other thing. Like, when I talk about like social media and content, and like creativity on Instagram threads, what I like to think sets me apart with the stuff that I talk about. Why I think honestly, Instagram threads is like my most successful platform right now. It's fucking crazy. If it wasn't for Instagram threads, my Instagram account would be dead because if you gain followers on there, you're gaining. So this is the first time I broke like 10,000 followers and all this stuff, and it's growing every single day. But what I like to do is when I say like a platitude or like an aphorism on there, like you shouldn't do this, da da da. When people respond, I'll go in there and I'll tell them exactly what I think they should do. I'm not going to be that kind of person that goes, well, good luck and disappear. Figure it out, assholes. Like I want to actually go and help people. So like, one of the things that I always tell people when it comes to content, for example, or when it comes to these ideas, is like think like a DJ, think like a remixer, right? One of the things that I do that is the most powerful tool that I literally go and tell all these kids that have never created a video in their life, I go, how to make good content even if you've never filmed a video or wrote anything in your life. And the reason that you know how to make good content is because even if you're the biggest social media hater, there is still, even if you hate, I don't use Instagram, I don't use TikTok, great. Even if you don't, there has still been a video or maybe 100 videos that as you've been mindlessly scrolling, it stopped you in your tracks and you watched the whole thing from beginning to end, maybe commented, maybe liked, maybe sent it to your buddy in the group chat. So even though you think, on a like a molecular level, what good content, captivating content is. So what I tell people to do is the exercise, and this is what I start doing for myself. I have to force myself when I really am in a rut. Save. Like on Instagram, you can like it saves. You can have like a little save thing. Scroll, intentionally scroll until you find 5 videos that make you watch it. Like you just stop and you're like, what the fuck was it that captivated me? Until you hit 5, save 5, then go. Look at those 5 that you've saved and then do a remix shot for shot, but with what your message is, with what your music is, with what you're doing of that video. Even if it's just with your shitty iPhone and you're horrible at editing, do it. And every time you post one, delete one until you've deleted 5. Once you've deleted 5, you have 5 videos up that are in a format that is already compelling to you, and thus it'll be compelling to somebody inside of your audience.
Whoa.
Once you do 5, yeah, dude. So then, because again, you never know if the stuff that you're watching already is a remix of a remix of a remix of a remix in the first place.
Everything is.
Everything is. The conversation that we're having is a remix of a remix.
Sure. Sure. You know? Yeah. It's a remix of your threads.
Exactly. What am I but a thread? I'm just a walking thread. I'm a human thread.
Wow, that's a really good I am always looking for new because everyone has their methods, but even my methods like fail me sometimes.
Of course. Gotta freshen it up.
That's such a great idea.
Yeah, and I stand by this. Like, for example, like I have one of my clients just had a song that came out on Friday, and I said, let's get to work. What's get to work mean? Him and I go on like a Zoom call or whatever, and I say for 20 minutes, and we share. You know, and this is not a lot of people talk about this, but the powerful thing on Instagram is you can have shared save folders. Like multiple people can save stuff to one folder.
Right.
So I go and I say, yo, let's go in there. Our goal is to make 20 videos for this song. 20 10-second fucking low effort things that feature the song that aren't a sell. Hey guys, check out my new song. It's fucking nobody gives a shit. Let people create discovery content. Let's create content that somebody can watch the video and like go, oh, haha, that's interesting. Oh, what's this song? Right? That's how music gets discovered nowadays. So me and him, we just go, just save shit that you like, save shit you think is funny, save shit you think is captivating. I, as the person that edits it and kind of creates the content, it'll be up to me to kind of deliver it. But let's see what we can do, dude. So far we've made like 10 different videos. We're weeks ahead. So now we're posting 3 times a week for 3 weeks.
That's amazing.
So now it's like, and then after like let's say in 2 weeks we'll go and do another session like that. Now we have 6 weeks of content.
That's incredible.
Is every video going to be viral? No, but what's this game about? This game is about showing up on the timeline. Why is Victor Goshfather, Mr. fucking, I don't have any viral videos, I don't have any fucking really viral songs. Why am I getting booked? Because I, in my stupid fucking red jacket, I promoters and fucking people, they can't stop seeing me. I'm at the top of the mind. So when somebody needs a person to play a show that is my kind of like genre, they're not looking. They're going to go to the thing that is the most in their feed. Is every one of my videos like a 3D fucking directed by fucking Michael Bay? No, it's me with a fucking iPhone. But it's there.
So true. That's so true. The consistency that you have to put the reps in to get any sort of momentum in this industry.
Exactly.
And you can't rest on your laurels of one, viral song or whatever. Yeah. And I think a lot of people do understand that. Right. Since you do, me too. Since you have this social media business, I would love to ask you this. This is a little more like in depth and into marketing.
Please do. Yeah.
But it's not so often I get to have a conversation with experts like yourself.
Oh, well, we're all learning. It's all changing all the time.
So we know that there are different, campaign goals. If it's, wrapped around a new track that's being released or a big show that's coming up. Sure. What do you find, or do you find in the dance music industry that the call to action being something where people actually have to like spend money or download something, so like buying a track, buying a ticket? Do you find that even for some of the big artists that you work with, that is still difficult?
It is difficult. What I've come to learn about it, and again, I would not have really been able to really think about it, this stuff like this, unless I had this business. I mean, there's no other. I swear, if it was just me trying to do this for myself, I would not be able to have this like out of body experience kind of perspective about it, kind of wax poetic on it. But yes, because I'm working with other people and I'm seeing the kind of timeline bigger. What it's come down to me, and what I like to call it, is what we're doing is we're filibustering. For those of you that don't know what that means, is like you're treading water,
people's attention
conversationally, like permit. You're treading water. You're not doing breaststrokes and fancy stuff. We're just treading water, content wise, to just keep. In between the announcements, in between the drops, in between the shows, in between our merch just dropped, the treading water is, ha ha ha, I had a burger today. Oh my God, visiting my niece. Oh my God, isn't my dog so cute? This is a video game that I'm playing. Oh, check out this beat that I made. People think, why do I gotta show this part of myself? Why do I gotta be a dancing monkey? It's because what you're up against as a creative, as a creative, as a brand, as a musician, as a whatever, you don't realize that you're also a product, whether you realize that or not. The minute you ask somebody to, let's just say something as innocuous as, check out my song on SoundCloud, you're a business. Yeah. Somebody checking out your free SoundCloud is them giving you money, because attention is dollars. So for them to go off app to go listen to your fucking bootleg that you just posted on SoundCloud is you going into the street and going, hey, can I have $20? People don't
It's hard.
Right.
It's really hard.
Right.
To get people to perform in action, to get someone off the app that they're on and take that journey.
Right.
It's a big ask.
So then what? And then again, this part 2 is come stream my song on Spotify. Well, now that's a whole different story. Part 2, then even bigger. Come to my free show in your city. Whoa, I gotta go somewhere.
Right.
Come pay $5 for my show. Whoa, I gotta go somewhere and pay it. Okay, so again, what I like to make artists like kind of think about here is like, if a person, a stranger, or even an acquaintance you met at a party one time comes up to you in the middle of the street and goes, hey, Steve, can I have $20? What the fuck? No. Okay. But if it's a homie of yours, or if it's somebody you see all the time, I think you know where I'm going with this already.
Yep.
If it's somebody that's part of the friend group and they go, fuck yeah, I need $20, or hey, I got this thing coming on, would you like to come? All right, now the conversation's changed. Now it's not fuck you, get the hell away from me, I'm calling the police. Now it's that's my guy.
It's a warm lead. Absolutely.
That's exactly. And as much as we like to think that, this is art. It is art, okay, but it doesn't. Regardless,
you have no right to anyone's attention.
There's no right to anybody's attention. There's no right to anybody's penny.
Right.
Fuck $1. No, you don't have a right to anybody's penny. That's the thing that artists don't understand, and I like to use metaphors to really show people what they're asking for when they say "new song out Friday" and then ghost. Prior, no, just ghost. Hey guys, it's been a while since I've been back on social. My new song drops. Nobody gives a fuck.
No, you have to compel people to care. And so it's fun. This is timely because in when this comes out, our episode, which is in next week? No, awesome. 2 weeks.
Oh, sweet.
Two episodes. So the one that came out today.
Cool.
I talked about putting the cart before the horse with social media, and that giving the example, I gave the examples of like Pazza and Clooney versus James Hype, because they're all big artists. Okay.
Those are actually amazing. That's an amazing, yeah.
Thank
I think
you.
about those a lot.
So you have Pazza and Clooney, who you've got Hot Girls in the Booth and releases. That's it. Mm-hmm. And that's what most people, like most artists, want to just be able to do. But then you have James Hype.
Magic Button. Yeah.
Magic Button. Yeah. Where James Hype is like, hey guys, I'm standing in the same spot where I found out I was fired for calling in sick to work and going to Ibiza. And this is where I was when I found out I got fired. And now I have a residency here every Friday. How cool is that? Yep. And it's like that, I have really no desire to go to Ibiza anymore at this age, but that was like, oh my God, that compelled me to do, wow, that's so amazing. He's bringing us into the journey with him. And it not only gives his fans, who are just simply fans, a deeper sense of connection, but then it also inspires other artists wow, he did this, I can too. And so sure, if you get to that level and you want to take the Pazza or Clooney route, where literally all you're just posting is gigs or releases, fine. But it is, you develop such a dedeeper connection with the people who love you when you take the James Hype route. Absolutely. In my opinion.
So that's an amazing two different artists, two different groups of artists. Because if I may say, and I know this is not what you're implying, but Clooney and Pazza also, they have their reps are in. Right. So I totally see where you're coming from. But I'm saying, listen, you and I know this, but what matters is the perception of the outside. Okay. This is what we're talking about, because this is another thing that I like to tell musicians all the time. You may think all these little plans that you're doing and this little thing that you're doing being mysterious. All that matters is what the audience is reacting to, what the market is reacting to. So it doesn't matter what the market thinks you are. Yes, it's up to you to change the narrative of what that's going to be. But if you're not aware that that's the transaction that's happening, then you don't even know to change the narrative in the first place. So with that said, the Clooneys of the world, guy's OG, guy's locked in. The guy, obviously, his thing now, he's gotten to the point where he can go, hot girls, I'm a hot guy, fucking sick bangers, da 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 da. But obviously, a lot of stuff behind the scenes, a lot of kind of more political. He's very much connected with like huge other artists, and they put him on. Great. James Hype is another great example. That's another way that you can get to it. But as we all know, James Hype during COVID was, again, we have to always come back to this kind of language because it's like we just have to always come back to this kind of language. He, during COVID, gave a value to hundreds of thousands of people via his mixes.
So much.
He had a free product. So a guy in the street. Okay, here we go. Guy in the street again. He didn't ask for $20. Okay, I'm going back to that example. He said, here's a free fucking sandwich. Here's another one. Here's another one. Here's another. Here's a fucking 1,000 free sandwiches. Eventually, someone's going to go, this guy's fucking sandwiches are fucking amazing. Mm-hmm. And he's given away all the shit before he's even asked for 1 cent because he's in fucking COVID anyway. So whether he realized that was if he had the business acumen or not, who knows? I'm assuming he was just a passionate guy that loved DJing, which is really how, it all that is like the kind of core thing. He built this rabid audience of people that fucking were picking up what he was putting down.
Yep.
Through sheer repetition. And again, were his first 20 fucking things bangers? No, nobody gave a shit. But that didn't deter him. Right? So again, we can take from the stories of these kind of artists that we're talking about something that everybody can use, right? And in the story of James Hype, it's incredible is that he realizes, which a lot of people don't realize. See, sometimes when people get to the level that he gets to, they get this cloudiness in their vision where it's like, wait, I'm the shit. You're not the shit. The community that you built around your project is why you exist. Right. That is your foundation. And what's beautiful about him is that he doesn't need, like you said, he doesn't need to do these fucking stories about I got fired and I'm in Ibiza. He doesn't need to do these stories of like telling people, stay with your passion and you'll make it. All those little like things. But he realizes that having that open dialogue is what keeps the lights on in his house.
There's so much to be said about the longevity that can come from that.
Of course.
Because at the end of the day, and this is, I love Pazza and Clooney. They're some of my favorite artists.
No, I totally get
it. And they can do their thing. And if that's not their style, whatever.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, like, people will remember James Hype for more than just his music. They'll remember him for all of those things. And like,
he affected them.
Everyone, you said perception is what you are, what the market thinks you are. Yeah. It's interesting because when I look at James Hype and his fiance, Tita, when I look at their accounts, even though they're like doing flashy shit, going on jets, whatever, I just like, it radiates positive, healthy, good energy. Something about like how I perceive them is these are people who really care about what they do. Yeah. Not saying anyone else doesn't, but like just focusing on them. They care about this. They care about their fans. They love making people happy. Yeah. Like it seems like they're generous with their time. And I could be projecting. Maybe they're assholes. I don't know. But like what they give off is that they're willing to give more than they take. Right. And that's exactly what you were saying about his mixes.
Exactly. But here's the thing. Your reaction to what, again, we could talk about them, we could talk about so many different artists, but your reaction, your genuine reaction to them, again, this is the trippy kind of like philosophical thing. That's what matters.
It is.
I'm sorry to say, again, maybe they are evil, fucking horrible humans behind it. But again, in the I'm assuming they're not, but that's the reason that they're where they are is because there's something about it that people keep coming back that's beyond the art. It's something that's this, and it's not them doing renegade. They're not doing fucking TikTok dances to fucking do a trend. They're actually being genuine, whether that's real or not. The point is that what that perception is the perception. That's this kind of like trippy kind of existential thing about it is that like, I think a lot of artists don't consider that. They don't consider, what am I? What am I based on what I've cultivated through my communications with an audience? They like to focus. And the truth is that I guess what I'm trying to say to a lot of artists and what my general thing when it comes to this stuff is that is in your control, whether you're a busker at the train station or you're a fucking DJ on a private jet, fucking getting paid tons of money. Your perception, thanks to smartphones and content and the internet, you have complete control over your PR. Do you want to be the bad guy? Do you want to be the kind guy? Do you want to be the sexy person? Do you want to be the fucking virtuoso person? It's all in your hands, but it's also in your hands to make an earnest push to show that's what you are. I know this is like, does that kind of make sense? What I've been saying? Like, I've honestly never really thought about this as deeply as I am in this conversation. But I'm like, dude, you're in control.
I had a conversation with this with my in-laws. I was eating dinner with my in-laws last night, like on a personal level. They're like old school, and so they don't really understand like how I make money off social media with like influencer deals and whatever. And so I was kind of explaining it to them, and my father-in-law was like, "But you're such like a private person, Olivia. I'm surprised that you do this." And I'm like, "Well, here's the trick. Like, people only see and hear what I want them to see and hear. They don't get access to what I don't give them access to. So I am, ahead of it. I am setting the narrative like so that they can't for me when it comes to, what I share on social media, my relationship, whatever. It is me in control. And so artists need to realize that if they get ahead of that, like they're just much better positioned to control it when their career grows.
Again, like what you were saying, you have the complete control over how much access someone has there. And that's what I think a lot of artists also, and a lot of just entrepreneurs also, they believe that, I have to, again, be a 24/7 CCTV in my life, showing them these deep, dark things. No, but you have to, if you want to have a different kind of relationship with your audience, and I think this is kind of where you're going with this, well, you need to have some kind of dialogue on a human level outside of the product that you're selling.
Right.
Right. And I think, obviously I see your content since I've started following you. I think you always, whenever I see your face and your conversations you're having, you always put an element of you in. I don't think you're ever preaching. And that's what a lot of people that do like podcasts and stuff, it kind of gets to a point where it kind of sucks. Like they get into this like finger wagging. And I think you always like liken it to your experiences. And I think that's something that it probably endears you to an audience. And I think that just comes naturally to you. And feel like I wish that more artists would kind of understand that that's the function of being like that,
Yeah. Well, it's such a buzzword, but the authenticity and being real, even though I'm controlling the narrative of what people see, what I do show them is real. Like I grew my TikTok audience by talking about vulnerable topics like hair loss, and not being afraid like to go on there like with no makeup, looking dingy as hell, and just talking to people on a real level. And I know that artists are it's scary to do that because you have to find your voice. You also have to find a way to make it. I mean, our attention spans now are shit. Even mine. It's horrible. I can't believe like I sometimes have to challenge myself to watch a video all the way through. And I'm like, this is really bad for your little lizard brain. And so, finding a way to be authentically you, but also fitting it into an algorithm so that people pay attention is a dance, but you cannot be successful at it if you don't put the reps in. Again, it's like the most basic, boring advice, but you just have to start and test. This show is so different a year from when it first started. This show's a little over a year old, a year and some change.
Awesome.
And
Congrats.
So many things had, thank you. So many things had to change because I couldn't wait for it to be perfect before I started. Right. I just had to jump in. Yeah. And things are different now. And I'm sure in a year from now, they'll be different.
Hell yeah.
And, and what I always say too, is that because this was also my conversation with my in-laws, they were like, well, aren't you worried like this content's out there forever? I'm like, no, I'm one of a bajillion videos being uploaded today. People are gonna, whether it's a good or bad thing, they're gonna forget in an hour. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not worried about, what I was doing a year ago because unless
I see. That's why they're asking.
You know what I mean?
I see. Like the imperfect, the imperfect, quote unquote.
Exactly.
Interesting.
So like, So it's like, unless someone's really like, they want to see a specific interview with an artist that I did last year, they're going through and binging my content. Like that shit from last year, the mistakes that I made, nobody's going to notice.
Dude, what I always say is like, the rapper Future, he put out like 20 mixtapes before he had one hit song. And the one hit song that he had was, I think it was like Turn on the Lights, and he was like a featured artist. He wasn't even like the main artist on it. 20 mixtapes?
Yeah.
People are scared to fucking show 1 8-bar loop of their song. What do you mean 20 mixtape? So this is the thing that I'm saying. And I also want to cover, like, it's interesting, right? So I'm assuming that your family members, when they ask you this question, aren't you worried that it's going to be on the internet forever? I'm assuming that they don't do some sort of work in this field of any kind.
No.
Okay, right. Or any kind of work. So it's so interesting to me. And again, it's another thing that I'm learning on Threads. I made a post about it yesterday. I put it onto a category. It's called shitty lore. Shitty lore. People that are incredibly mortified, even if they're artists, not just who are mortified of doing the step one, right? They all, like, the force of gravity always brings them to ask these similar questions all the time, right? Some starting like with, aren't you scared that it's going to be shown forever? We know now that nobody's going to give it. We know now that nobody fucking cares about Future's 12th mixtape. No one's sitting there going, oh, his 12th mixtape has sucked. Nobody even knows he did 20 mixtapes. So again, it's the same thing. The thing that stops people from even, forget being in the race. People think they're in the race. People that think they're in the race in many cases aren't even in the race. They're not even in the starting line because of the thoughts like that. Those kind of thoughts and those kind of worries, because who knows, maybe somebody that has a thought like that about what you're doing, maybe they secretly have some kind of entrepreneurial desire. Oh, well, one day if I could. But because the step one or step zero is looking at somebody else that is even having a modicum of success. And I'm not saying it's like a bad thing. I'm just saying it's sad to watch, because you realize that how many people in the world that aren't doing a thing because there's a roadblock at the basic level.
Right.
And the basic level begins just in their perception of what somebody else is doing.
And it's making assumptions before you even. It's like the assumptions that prevent you from exploring. Yeah.
Even beginning.
Like on the business side of things, I preach this until I'm blue in the face. Like people are so afraid. You're fully self-employed, right? You're not like a W-2.
Yeah, I'm full self-employed.
So me too. So like, I have found ways to be resourceful with obviously making sure I'm getting like the best tax benefit and having, investing in a good CPA and accountant, health insurance. I just did
I just saw the tweet, dude. I just saw it yesterday.
It's someone, and I love this girl. She's so supportive of my show. She was like, oh, but like, what about the tax penalty? I'm like, so they don't even like, I'm not saying her necessarily, but I get that question a lot. People won't even take the next step and be like, well, what is the tax penalty versus like paying for this shitty insurance that I never use? It ends up the penalty will end up being less. Well, then why aren't I doing that? So, but like people literally assume because they hear things just in like
shitty lore.
Shitty lore.
This is what I call shitty lore.
I'm going to start
urban legends, dude. It's urban again, like the other thing, my other like crusade. At this point, it's a fucking crusade. It's not just like me having people like the use of samples and splice samples. My thing that I talk about Threads all the time, like, who gives a fuck? Use a sample all day. Look at Eli Brown. 3 of his biggest songs are verbatim splice samples, not even pitched up, not even. Who cares? Are people going, well, fuck that guy? No, you know what they're doing? They're fucking selling out every single show that he plays at. That's his punishment. His punishment for using a fucking splice sample. So again, shitty lore. I mean, then you have kids that when I say, do whatever you want, then you have a kid who you click on and he has 20 fucking followers. And of course, every single post on IG is a fucking artwork for the song and there's like 3 likes. You're killing creativity. How do you know that that's not creativity? How do you know that that is actually not what the definition of creativity is in the first place? To be able to expand upon something that is good and making it yours. That's creativity to me, right? Mozart didn't even he needed some kind of basic system of music to be able to write music on.
There's no original idea. There's no original anything when it comes to art.
Right. And that's what I'm saying with these kids. When auto-tune's wrong. Having somebody write a song with you is wrong. Having a manager is bad. Fucking, he knows he has a relationship with the club owner. That's why he gets booked. Spice samples are bad. This is all shit that turns artists into non-fucking starters. And that's why I'm saying, get the shitty lore out of your head. Forget this shit you hear from some dumbass on Reddit or Twitter that tells you can't do this. The people that go and say you can't do this because of this, don't do anything themselves.
Of course, because the people who are doing things are not going to discourage others.
Of course. They're too busy doing things.
Exactly.
Exactly.
God. And unfortunately, as much as I love, having this tool that is social media and the internet, it really has created a divide where people have such black and white thinking. You will see this black and white thinking on social media and people just being loud and wrong, but then that doesn't happen in real life. Loud and wrong. I fight with people in my my TikTok comments all day. I don't care because it gets, I'm in the creator fund. It makes me more money. Yeah, but it's like a little bit of rage baiting just to get them to engage.
I get it.
People are so black and white when it comes to what they have to say online. But the real world isn't like that.
Of course.
And it's we can't let that black and white thinking in those comments, paralyze us in fear from not going after something because that's what people online are saying.
100%.
That's one of my biggest gripes. I think, especially, I don't know. How old are you? If you don't mind me asking.
35.
Okay, we're about this. I'm 32.
Okay, cool.
This is my slow descent into becoming an old curmudgeon. It's just getting so annoyed with the kids who are just making these bold statements, and it's you have no life experience. You can't just be making these sweeping statements about shit, And I know I used to do it. I mean, all young
of
folks,
course.
and even some older people. But I hate that, and I hate the negative attitudes. It's these are the types of people that find a problem for every solution,
Exactly. And then have no solutions after they find the problem. Yeah, that's the word.
They don't.
Yeah.
They don't.
Yeah, but again, I mean, it's been interesting to me. I mean, again, one of the kind of revivals in my career that has happened. One of the reasons that I'm even going on tour and all this different shit's happening for me. I have these big artists supporting my music. Diplo's been playing my music. Dylan Francis playing my music. I have all this, I'm on tour. I'm getting some film festival things I'm negotiating for the summer and stuff. And I'm in an incredible position that and the reason I'm here, I mean, the one reason that I know that I'm here is because in 2023, I decided to put out one song every week for 52 weeks. So,
I was going to ask about that.
Yeah. So that's one of those things. And that's kind of me accomplishing that has kind of been my launch pad for me to be able to go and have these kind of conversations. That's kind of the core of what I talk about on Instagram threads with up and coming musicians and artists, and why I kind of decided to really go hard with that other kind of aspect of my brand personality on that platform to talk about that stuff was because after doing that, prior to 2023, when I decided to do that 52 weeks, put out one song every week, I was like a paralyzed guy. I was like Mr. fucking put out 4 songs a year. And that was it was like getting 50 root canals. It was the craziest, oh my God, it was just such, even little bootleg remixes, it was just such a painful ass process that during and in the middle of this putting out a song a week kind of personal challenge that I did, it made me realize once again that the reason that I used to be like that, and most likely the reason that so many other people that I know that quit music, by the way, or whatever, are struggling or whatever, it's not about how technical you are or how much of a good musician you are. It is all fucking mental. Every single step of the way is a mental, it's a war that you're waging against a part of your personality that tells you that you're not fucking good enough. That tells you that you need validation and you need you need someone else to say you're good for you to take the next breath. And it made me realize in this process of putting out all this music that you don't need anybody to tell you anything. You need to just sit down and be okay with yourself and do the thing that you said that you were going to be doing, which is, in my case, be a musician. I don't know how much of a musician I was putting out 3 songs a year. I mean, whatever. I mean, I can't. But I'm just saying, for me, that I knew the reason now, looking back after 2023 and what I experienced and where my kind of mind is now. The reason that I was not putting so much music out was not because I was protecting my creative process and my mental health. It's because I was paralyzed. I was paralyzed from other people's thoughts. I was in LA going to fucking Hollywood Hills and oh, what do you got coming on? Yeah, I got a couple stuff. I was in the lore. I was in this bullshit. I was in this like trying to tell people that I was something and too scared to do the work because I was scared about what other people would think. What would they say? Are they not gonna like the snare drum? Bullshit, right?
So it sounds like, because, my brother did this, who
Right.
he did like a track a week it wasn't every single week, but
Right.
I don't remember how long his stretch was. And then Barclay Crenshaw also
Amazing.
did that as he was getting out of his Claude Von Stroke era
Yep.
into his, actual government name, I guess. And, what I learned from them was that, it really forced, like doing that forced them to just, I don't know, be in the creative process.
Correct.
and not get caught up in all those things you're saying. So what would you say is like the biggest lesson you learned from doing that process?
These are a couple of my hot takes that I always get kind of in trouble for. So that's why I keep, I rage bait a little bit, but I really do believe this, is that number one, feedback is a double-edged, sharp, deadly knife. Okay? If you don't know how to get feedback, I don't care if you're an entrepreneur, musician, fucking ballerina, I don't care what this I believe goes across all mediums. If you don't know A, how to correctly source the feedback, and B, how to correctly take in and process said feedback from that correct source, those two things are not mutually exclusive. It has to be the correct order of operations there. You can't just get great feedback from a random person that has no fucking idea what they're talking about. Then it's not great feedback. You can get mired in it. Feedback can become I don't know what's worse than a crutch. It can become like an iron lung. And that's what happens to like a lot of people, that they're just anesthetized by, my boy who works at fucking Wells Fargo said that my hi-hats aren't good. My homie that's a fucking DJ said that the snare is bad. My homie said that. Creativity goes to die in the lens of other people's opinions about your creative work. So what I've learned through this process, and this is one of the things, is that like, you need to fucking go to war to shut off other people's voices when you are trying to be creative. Because the minute you let somebody else in that isn't like an obvious collaborator, and even then, I'm not going to, I have another opinion on that, but it's like you have to be able to crystallize and create a shield around what it is that you like, develop your taste aggressively, and be able to use your taste in your creative process. Otherwise, you're just creating for other people. If you can be so easily blown away like a leaf in the wind by someone going, when you show this one person this thing that you've been passionately working on for fucking several days, then you've got bigger issues, deeper issues than your technical thing.
I want to ask, first, I know you said you have two hot takes. First, I want to ask, can we save that one for my Patreon audience?
Sure.
Can we do it as a separate thing? Okay.
Sure.
So, but my other quick question.
Sure.
I've always been someone who does not give a shit about feedback, and for better or for worse. I'm like, I don't need your opinion, and I feel like that's actually helped me. Have you always been like that? Because I get frustrated when like my friends, who obviously they trust my opinion, and it's not about music because I'm not a producer, but about other things, they'll ask me over and over and over. I'm like, God damn, like what? Just pick something, like you don't need my approval on your outfit or whatever. So do you think that that's like a trait that people are born with?
But feedback is like Advil. Okay, feedback is like aspirin. When a person is anxious in not being able to make a fucking decision, it always comes down to those like non-starters. It's like the feedback always comes in of, do I go to the starting line? It's not, do I get to the finish line? It's usually, do I begin to start to think to begin to start to begin? What do you think? Well, fucking do the thing. They need to just hear it. And the problem is that it becomes procrastination with extra steps. Feedback, if you're not acting on it or taking it the right way, it becomes procrastination with extra steps. I'm a big believer, and especially from this process of the last year, was if you tell people shit that you're working on, I used to think it was hokey pokey, but it releases that chemical. It releases that dopamine as if you've already done it.
Oh God. Yeah, it's horrible.
I used to think that was bullshit, dude, but that's so real. And people do it piecemeal, and they do it to people like you because they know that you're like this kind of like person that's on fire and always wants to help people out. So they'll use you as a dopamine dispenser to say, hey, should I do it? Right?
It's so true. So quick, perfect example. I didn't tell anybody about this podcast until the day it was launched because I knew that could potentially deter me.
Of course.
But my husband and I made this mistake because we wanted to do this book club and we called it Earning and Learning Book Club.
Love
and we're gonna listen to a book on Audible about like business or whatever. Do you know how many times we've met? I tweeted about it. You know how many times we've met?
Once.
One fucking time. One time. It's proof right there. Proof right there. And I'm like, oh, we got to get back to that. But the dopamine was released. I was like, look at our cute. And I wanted to make us little matching sweatshirts, and we haven't done shit. So anyway, all right.
It's like, and it's the same thing with music. Like with music, like what I tell I do some like artist like one-on-one coaching stuff on the side, and what I tell them, like right off the bat, I go hardcore with them. I go, listen, and a lot of people want to work with me because they've seen that I've done this like crazy monumental task of putting on the 52 song a week. And they're like, I can't finish songs. That's another thing. Nobody can finish songs. Everybody all across the process of creating, midway through the song and finalizing the music. Everybody has just like. And that's why I tell artists, like, guys, there's no competition. There's none. I'm sorry. There's none.
I don't believe in competition.
There's no competition in terms of, like, the dude that you think is fucking super dope, that's your contemporary, if he's not putting out songs, the chasm between him talking about putting out songs and actually doing it, unfortunately, it's like jumping the Grand Canyon. It's not real. It's not going to happen. So if you're just a person that just... This is the other thing that I tell people. One of the biggest techniques or whatever, like weapons in your arsenal as a creative person. It's not the fucking technology. It's not having a bunch of money. It's not knowing a bunch of people. The biggest fucking powerful thing is keeping a promise to yourself. Not 100 promises. Try one. Start with one promise. Start with, I'm going to finish one song. Can you do it? That's the litmus test of whether you're fucking into this, if you're real of this shit or not. Can you do one thing without bringing in 50 fucking cooks into the kitchen and upload that shit to Spotify? Can you do it by yourself? Can you do it? If you can't, you need to really sit down and have a talk with yourself. Is this for real for you? Is it a hobby? Totally fine. But if you really are serious about this and you want to show some respect to the things the dreams that keep you up at night, then you have to be able to get over that first barrier. And that starts with keeping one promise to yourself. So what's it going to be? What are you going to sacrifice for it? You can not go out. That's it.
I could literally talk to you for hours. This has been incredible. I mean, every single part of this conversation has been so valuable, and
I appreciate it. You kind
of kicked my ass a little bit. So thank you. No, I mean, I need, like, talking to people like yourself gives me the gut check that I need, even though I'm not an artist.
I feel the same way.
It's great. It's great to have these conversations. And I want to get to our little Patreon segment.
Sure, no problem at all.
Just to like wrap this up, like this is proof positive that artists can be so isolating, and I am an introvert. I tend to isolate myself, but building connections in this industry, just to have conversations like you and I did, can spark so many ideas.
I hope so.
It is so important. Like, people, go find a friend, go find someone that you can just bounce ideas off of. You share the same, goals and passions.
Yep.
It's so beneficial.
Absolutely. I completely agree.
All right, guys, I want to give you a little taste of what Goshfather says in this Patreon exclusive clip.
Talent is fucking bullshit. There is no such thing as a talented person. This is my opinion, okay?
All right, that came from a classically trained opera singer who went to school for opera. He's saying talent is bullshit. There's a lot more to that soundbite. If you want to hear the full thing, you can head to my Patreon. I have it linked in the show notes. It's on my Instagram. Tiers start as low as $5 per month, and that will get you access to these Patreon-only exclusive clips. These are the juicy bits that maybe, my guests don't want to talk about to a wider audience, but They've so graciously given me the time to curate these special tips and tidbits from their brains for you, so go check that out. I have it linked. And as always, I'll talk to you guys next week.